This was a tough one because there's two variations of this, and I could have went either way. But I'm gonna go with the original way because there was two variations for this team, and I'm gonna have to go to the TNA vault on this one, and I'm gonna go with the main event Mafia versus the TNA front line. This is
Okay, I can dig that.
before Ace. I was gonna go I was gonna go main event Mafia versus Aces and Eights, but
That's where I thought you were going.
no, I'm gonna go the front line because the front line was the original like
That one was
combatants.
better.
Yeah, it was the original combatants to the main event Mafia.
Mm-hmm.
Mafia had like the true Hall of Fame talent, and then the front line had the somewhat Hall of Famers. I think the Dudleys were the only Hall of Famers, and then you had your Samoa Joes, you had your AJ Styles, Christopher Daniels, Petey Williams was in the mix too. Like there was a lot of people basically,
Yeah.
and I think ODB was even on the front line at some point. But just everybody that was feuding at that time coming together, and then just massive factions going at it. I think at one point in time that was literally all TNA was just the Mafia versus the front line.
Yeah, one could argue that eventually they went a little too faction crazy. But
Yeah,
they when they started and main event Mafia, Fortune, some of those earlier factions were at a peak time.
mm-hmm.
Just a peak time where um they were just gathering like all-star level people to go
Yeah,
at each other, and you were just seeing some of the best matches. And main event Mafia, like you said, they were just top of the top. Like they felt impossible to beat, and they were all like super talkers on the mic. They all delivered in the ring, and yeah, it was a time. It was a time. That was definitely
yeah.
was one of those much better ones. For my honorable mention, I'm gonna do. Uh, I'm gonna go to. I'm gonna go to WWE, but I'm gonna go maybe. I'm not even back that far. Maybe 10 years. Maybe not
Mm-hmm.
even 10 years. Um, it's gonna be the Usos versus Alpha Academy
Okay.
because coming off of Triple H's NXT
Mm-hmm.
and that golden era of making guys that were straight stars right out of the gate. When American Alpha debuted and they proved to be everything that they were in NXT, and the carryover proved to be true in the theory that if you don't mess with the tag team, they'll be everything they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Coming across truly from developmental onto the main roster, one of the first tag teams they had to encounter was the Usos. And
Mm-hmm.
they met the Usos at a critical time in the Usos' lives where they were one of the best tag teams on the planet, but nobody cared.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to give them any sort of respect, and nobody wanted to see the shtick anymore. They were old news, and unfortunately, even though the division might not have been on their level, they weren't really, shown the respect from that division that they should have been getting.
Yeah.
And American Alpha was white hot. They were new, they were shiny, and they were on the come up. And unfortunately, in the ring, they might have been better, at least better than straight up Usos,
Mm-hmm.
which they were at the time. And that first time they clashed for those World Tag Team Championships, and they lost, and it was really at a point, at least emotionally, without a lot of build, because it was through a tournament, so it wasn't story, but I kind of felt as a wrestling fan like, man, I like the Usos, but they're just not the best anymore. They got to
Mm-hmm.
do something. Like it's or it might be over.
Yeah.
And they took that moment in a bottle of realizing that in real time and decided to be like, nah, nah, nah,
Yeah.
nah, nah, nah. I'm not gonna go to the back of the line. I'm just not gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And they decided if we can't have it, nobody can.
Yeah.
And they turned on the American Alpha, and I think they injured somebody that night, and that I think they came up with that iconic leg lock that night.
I
And
believe
where
so.
Uso splashed on his leg while he had it in the leg lock,
Yeah, I believe so.
and put him on the shelf. At least for story, but it was so effective, and it was the feud that they would go on from there between the two of them. They were already the best on the show,
Mm-hmm.
but now they had a reason to hate each other.
Yeah.
So when they were able to really go at it, you knew you were getting the best tag team wrestling possible right
Mm-hmm.
away. And you knew there was real skin in the game, and you were getting the Usos you actually cared about instead of the new guys versus Dolph Ziggler, where
Yeah.
you know it's going to be good, but you don't necessarily care. This gave you a reason to care, and the Usos a reason to win.
Yeah.
It made them relevant again, and it made American Alpha clearly one of the best tag teams on main roster, just like that.
Yeah, for that stretch of time, it definitely did.
People have been asking me to be the best in the world. Why, Eddie? Why?